On the first day of vacation, they handed me a chore list and said, "This trip isn't for you to relax, it's for you to prove yourself." I refused, but they laughed, "Then find your own way home." They took my passport and luggage, thinking I was trapped. But when security stormed into their hotel room, their smiles instantly faded. I never imagined that accepting an invitation from my best friend, Sarah, to join her family on a 2-week vacation to Miami would lead to one of the most harrowing experiences of my life. We had been close since college, and the prospect of sun-soaked beaches and vibrant nightlife was enticing. Sarah assured me that her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, were delighted to have me accompany them and generously covered my flight and accommodations. I was grateful and looked forward to a relaxing getaway. However, the reality was far from what I had envisioned. We arrived in Miami on a bright Monday morning. The humid air enveloped us as we stepped out of the airport. Mr. Anderson hailed a cab, and soon we were on our way to the luxurious beachfront hotel they had booked. The lobby exuded opulence with its marble floors and towering palm trees. After checking in, we gathered in the Anderson suite to discuss our plans. As we settled in, Mrs. Anderson handed me a neatly typed document titled Daily Responsibilities. Confused, I began to read through it. The list detailed tasks such as organizing beach gear, making dinner reservations, ironing their clothes, and even preparing breakfast. I looked up, puzzled. "This trip isn't for you to relax," Mrs. Anderson said with a tight smile. "It's for you to prove yourself." I glanced at Sarah, expecting her to interject, but she avoided my gaze. "I'm sorry, but I came here for a vacation, not to be a personal assistant," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Mr. Anderson chuckled, a condescending sound that made my skin crawl. "Then find your own way home." Before I could process his words, Sarah's younger brother, Jake, snatched my backpack containing my passport and wallet. He tossed it to his father, who locked it in the suite's safe. "You're not going anywhere," Mr. Anderson said smugly. Panic surged through me. I was thousands of miles from home, stranded without identification or money. But I refused to be bullied. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to think clearly. "May I use the restroom?" I asked, masking my anxiety. Mrs. Anderson nodded, and I walked calmly to the ensuite bathroom. Locking the door behind me, I assessed my options. My phone was in my pocket, a small mercy. I quickly texted my cousin, Mark, who lived in Miami. We hadn't spoken in years, but I hoped he would help. "Hey Mark, it's your name. I'm in trouble. Can you come to the hotel name, ASAP? Room 1203. Please don't call, just come." Seconds later, he replied, "On my way. Hang tight." I flushed the toilet to maintain appearances and returned to the suite. The Andersons were lounging on the balcony, sipping cocktails. I sat on the edge of the couch, heart pounding as I waited for Mark. About 20 minutes later, a firm knock echoed through the room. Mr. Anderson frowned, clearly not expecting visitors. He opened the door, and 2 uniformed hotel security officers stepped in, followed by Mark. "Is there a problem?" Mr. Anderson asked, his confidence wavering. "We received a report that a guest's personal belongings are being held against their will," one officer said. I stood up, relief washing over me. "That's me. They have my passport and wallet locked in their safe." Mr. Anderson's face turned crimson. "This is a misunderstanding." "Sir, please open the safe," the second officer demanded. With no other option, Mr. Anderson complied. The officer retrieved my belongings and handed them to me. "You're free to go," the first officer said to me. "Would you like to press charges?" I glanced at the Andersons. Sarah looked away, shamefaced. I decided against legal action. "No, I just want to leave." Mark guided me out of the hotel and into his car. As we drove away, I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and relief. "I'm sorry you had to go through that," Mark said, his voice filled with concern. "Me too. But thank you for coming to my rescue." He smiled. Family sticks together. Over the next few days, Mark and his wife showed me the real Miami, free from manipulation and control. I lounged on the beach, explored local eateries, and even tried jet skiing for the first time. The experience taught me the importance of standing up for myself and recognizing toxic relationships, no matter how deeply rooted. When I finally boarded my flight home, I felt a sense of empowerment. I had faced adversity and emerged stronger. And as for Sarah and her family, I knew I deserved better. After I left the hotel, I stayed with Mark and his wife, Julia. They were kind, gave me space, and never asked for details I didn't want to share. I thought the nightmare was over. But a week after the incident, things got weird. It started with a call from my work. "Hey, we got a strange email from someone claiming you've been fired for theft," my manager said, confused. "We know it's not true, but did you piss someone off?" I hadn't told anyone at work about the trip. Then my landlord emailed, asking if I really wanted to cancel my lease early. I didn't. Next, my credit card company flagged a $2,400 purchase for a luxury watch ordered online and sent to an address in New Jersey. Not mine. Whoever was doing this knew a lot about me. I stayed calm and started connecting dots. I remembered a moment in the hotel when Jake had grabbed my backpack. My laptop was in there. I always kept it password protected, but it wasn't encrypted. I hadn't thought to check it when I got it back. Maybe they had copied files or taken pictures of my IDs, emails, anything. The Andersons had money and power. I knew that. Mr. Anderson was some kind of executive with political connections. This wasn't just a spiteful prank. This was intentional. They were trying to ruin me. Mark was furious. "I know a guy," he said, eyes dark with anger. "He used to work for the FBI. We're going to find out exactly who's behind this." His guy, Tony, was calm and serious. He didn't ask questions. Just took the laptop, my phone, and 2 days later came back with a list of IP addresses and login times. "You were hacked. Not just your laptop. Your email, cloud storage, bank logins," Tony said. "Looks like someone installed spyware through a fake system update prompt." My stomach dropped. That had popped up in the hotel. I thought it was nothing. Tony gave me a list of times the spyware was activated. One of the most recent times? 2 nights ago, while I was sleeping in Mark's house. I hadn't used my laptop since then. Tony narrowed his eyes. "This didn't come from outside. This was done from your Wi-Fi." That meant someone had been in the house, or someone inside the house had done it. I didn't want to believe it. Not Mark. Not Julia. But I checked the house security cameras with Tony's help. Julia had been up late that night. She'd gone into the guest room, where I'd kept my laptop, stayed for 15 minutes, then left. Julia had barely spoken to me since I arrived. She was polite. Cold, but polite. "Talk to Mark first," Tony said. Quietly. "Don't accuse. Just feel him out." That night, I brought it up casually. "Hey, has Julia been okay? I feel like I'm a bit of a burden here." Mark looked uncomfortable. "Don't take it personally. She's just under stress. Work stuff." "Did she say anything about my laptop?" His head jerked up. "What?" "Just wondering. She went into the guest room the other night while I was asleep." I checked the footage. Mark didn't answer at first. Then he leaned forward, voice low. "I didn't want to say anything, but I think Julia's been in contact with someone from your trip." My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" "She got a call. I heard the name Anderson. She hung up quick. Said it was spam." Julia had never met the Andersons. Not in person. Not ever. Unless she had. Unless the whole thing had been planned. I sat there staring at Mark, trying to process what he'd just said. How could Julia know the Andersons? I asked. Mark rubbed his face like he was trying to erase the question. "I don't know. Maybe she met them online. Maybe it's a coincidence." But deep down, neither of us believed that. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every creak in the house made my skin crawl. I kept my laptop hidden and my phone turned off. The next morning, I woke up to find Julia already gone. Her car was still in the driveway. Her purse was on the counter. But she was nowhere in the house. Mark called her. No answer. Then the doorbell rang. It was a man in a suit. well-groomed, sunglasses. He flashed a badge that said he was from a private, corporate security firm. "I need to speak with your name," he said, calm like it was routine. "About what?" Mark asked, stepping between us. "It's regarding a matter involving Mr. and Mrs. Anderson." Just a few questions. I knew what this was. They weren't done with me. They'd sent someone to scare me into silence, or worse. I didn't say a word. I just closed the door. Mark locked it behind me. "This is getting bad," he said. "We need to go to the police." But I wasn't so sure. The Andersons had money, influence. If this was already at the level where they were sending people to our door, who knew who was on their payroll? Tony dug deeper. I asked him to look into Julia. What he found made my stomach turn. Julia had worked for a nonprofit 2 years ago. Guess who one of the biggest donors was? Anderson Industries. Julia had even attended one of their annual retreats. Guess where? Palm Springs. Same hotel Sarah's family had once bragged about visiting every summer. Mark didn't know. Or claimed he didn't. But it didn't matter. The connection was real. I confronted him that night. "You didn't know she worked with them? Vacationed with them?" Mark looked sick. "I swear I didn't. I knew about the nonprofit, but she said it was just a side gig. I didn't even know who the donors were." "Then why hasn't she come back?" I asked. We stared at each other in silence. That night, we found Julia's laptop in her closet. Mark hesitated, but opened it. The desktop was cluttered, but one folder stood out. It was labeled PR_materials. Inside were images, emails, documents, and a spreadsheet. My name was in it. Next to it, notes, comments, updates. "She's been tracking you," Mark whispered. The emails were worse. Some from Mrs. Anderson. Some from a person named E. Strayer. They referred to me as a risk and PR variable. One note read, "Ensure subject feels isolated. Consider financial stress tactics. Trip is approved. Keep eyes on local contact, M." They were using me for something. But what? Tony called that night. "You said they offered to pay for your vacation, right?" "Yeah." I found the payment trail. It didn't come from a personal account. It came from a shell company, registered in Delaware. The same one that funds a private contractor group with ties to reputation management, corporate espionage, and, get this, psychological behavior testing. This wasn't just about revenge. This was something bigger. I had been part of some sort of experiment, or campaign, or test. And now I was off script. "I think they're trying to see how far you'll go," Tony said quietly. We packed a few things and left the house that night. Mark came with me. He said he wanted answers just as badly. We stayed in a cheap roadside motel, no cameras, cash only. But even there, I didn't feel safe. My phone vibrated once before I powered it off. A message flashed on the lock screen. "We're not done yet." We stayed on the move for days. Cheap motels, rest stops, places with no cameras. Mark was all in now, more pissed than scared. Me? I was past scared. I wanted revenge. I didn't care if it made me look bad. I wanted them to feel what they did to me. Tony helped us build a case. Every shady file. Every fake company. Every email Julia left behind. All of it we compiled. He said it could be enough to bring them down if we could get the right eyes on it. That's when I made my final decision. I didn't go to the police. I didn't go to the media. I went straight to the top, their own world. I called an anonymous tip into the IRS and the SEC, attaching everything we had, the money laundering, the fake charity fronts, the mental manipulation campaign. Then I sent a copy to a journalist I remembered from a college internship. She owed me a favor. Then I flew back to Miami. Alone. I walked straight into the Andersons' hotel. Same suite. Same lobby. This time, I wasn't the scared guest. I was a loaded gun. I knocked. Mr. Anderson opened the door, stunned. "You again," he said. "No more games," I said, stepping inside before he could stop me. "I know what this is. The campaign. The files. Everything." Mrs. Anderson stood up from the couch. Sarah was there too, looking like she hadn't slept in weeks. "You ruined everything," Mrs. Anderson snapped. "You were never supposed to get that far." So it was a setup. We didn't even choose you. Julia recommended you, she said. I froze. Julia. Not a coincidence. A setup from the beginning. She said you were unstable. Easy to isolate. Easy to push, she said. And she was right. My throat tightened. Sarah finally spoke. I didn't know they were going to go that far. I thought it was just about influence testing. I didn't know they were going to destroy you. I looked at her. You stood there while they took my passport. I thought you'd give in, she whispered. I didn't think you'd fight. That was all I needed to hear. You underestimated the wrong person. 2 weeks later, everything went public. The company tanked. The fake nonprofits were exposed. Mr. Anderson was arrested for fraud. Mrs. Anderson tried to run, got caught in New York boarding a flight to Switzerland. Julia? She vanished. No trace. Her bank account's frozen. I have no idea where she went. Sarah emailed me once. Said she was sorry again. Said her life was ruined. I didn't reply. I wasn't interested in closure. And me? I lost a lot in this. My job. My peace. My sense of trust. I became someone I never thought I'd be, someone who wanted revenge more than forgiveness. But I won, and I learned something important. People like them rely on silence, on fear, on power. You strip that away and they crumble. And yeah, maybe I was unstable. Maybe I let the anger take over. Maybe I crossed lines. But I'd do it again. Every damn time.